Hello everybody, so welcome back to another CocoWyo Little Spookies coloring series. So today we're going to be doing this one. I also wanted to talk a little bit today about grief. This one has some gravestones and I was looking at it earlier and it really reminded me of my friend who recently passed this past year. He was 23 when he passed and his birthday actually just passed. It's at the beginning of October. It was actually the day after I posted my first YouTube video was his birthday. And this one really symbolizes him. He loved frogs, he loved ducks. This whole entire page was very hymn-coded, so it very much felt right to signify this video for the loss of him. And so I'm going to talk about grief in this video and kind of dealing with grief and conflicting emotions when it comes to that. But I'm also just going to be talking about our good times as well with my friend because he also created music, so I'm going to be using his music in the background hopefully in this video throughout. And yeah, so let's get on with the coloring and see what we can do. Since we're about halfway through the first of his songs, I wanted to jump in and kind of talk a little bit about my friend and how we met and who we were. So we met in elementary school. He was actually the new kid. My entire life, I had been in the same class with the same kids my entire life. And it was a split class, always with a year older than me, just because we were French immersion. As I said, I'm from Canada and we do speak French here somewhat. So I was in French immersion at the time and there wasn't enough students because we were a smaller community. And he ended up transferring in and everybody was so like, oh, who's this new kid? Who's this new kid? He was in the year older than me and this was the 1 year because there was 2 years in my entire elementary school life where we didn't have a split class, and so in grade 6 we didn't. He was split in with a 7 and 8 group, but we ended up meeting each other because we all knew each other. I knew the older kids because we had been in classes together since we were young. So I ended up meeting him in grade 6. I was about 11 years old, he was 12. And we ended up making a friendship with me and my best friend at the time. We sought him out and started texting him, and he was a little dorky kid, so he was very nervous for both of us. And he ended up dating my friend, and we ended up becoming best friends where we would play video games together every single night and just talk about things. And actually this song that just ended probably a minute or so ago, the first song there, he actually created the icon, the little music logo of the album cover with me, and I remember making it with him and he taught me how to use Photoshop when he was creating it, and I actually helped him do some of the lines for it. And so that's why I wanted to start with this song initially. It is one of his oldest songs. He released it 6 years ago, so it is an older song, but definitely something that is a key memory. And so now I'm playing some of his newer music that he released right before he passed, a few months before he passed. And yeah, I'll let you enjoy some of the other music. I do hope you're enjoying his music. I wanted to hop in again and just talk a little bit more about grief and his passing and what happened. So, he did pass away at 23. It was from unfortunate causes, natural causes though. Nothing he could have done, unfortunately. But I had known him since I was 11, as I said. I was 22 when he passed, so we had known each other for about 11 years. And throughout that time, we had had different fights and different things. And actually, at the time of his passing, we didn't talk as much because of all the things that we had gone through. And I kind of wanted to talk about grief a little bit and how when something like that happens, how you can have such conflicting feelings because of the past, but how you can heal and forgive and learn to forgive even after the passing. And now I always look at him with fondness and love, and even though we didn't have as close of a relationship when he did pass, we were still at a point where we had forgiven, or I had forgiven him for the issues that we had gone through in the past. He did have some issues with me where, there was some hiccups where he would lie to me a little bit, and I didn't enjoy that. I didn't want that in my life, and so I put in a boundary where I instilled, no, I don't want you in my life. I need some space from you. When we were graduating high school, or he was, I was in my second to last year, so grade 11, and I told him, I need some space from you. I think we need to grow as individuals. And he didn't understand it at the time. But after the summer and when he went to school, we kind of grew apart naturally. And so we ended up not talking for a few years, and I ignored him. And I was close with his girlfriend at the time as well. And so we kept our friendship on, and I would hang out with her one-on-one often. And I ended up dating her sister. So we ended up being a kind of quad after a while. And so it was a little weird because I went from disliking him and not okay with the way that we had ended in high school, but then after high school, when I started dating his girlfriend's sister, we ended up having to reconnect, and so we ended up having family dinners and talking, and I just learned how he had grown so much and became such a different person. He still had some issues where he would lie a little bit, but there was nowhere near any lying to the extent of what he had done in the past, and he had just grown so much. And that's something that I had learned after his passing, or kind of come to the conclusion of after his passing. And even though that was hard to come to the conclusion of, and after me and my ex broke up, we kind of stopped talking again because she didn't want me anywhere near that situation, which I understood. So I kept space, and then he unfortunately passed. And so we never really got to reconnect. But through that time when we had talked and reconnected, when I was dating her, we had both forgiven each other and kind of come to terms with what had happened. And even though I kind of regret how I just cut him off completely, I think he understood why in a way. And even though we struggled so much, we both realized that we had grown so much as people. And I think we both had forgiven each other deep down during that time of reconnection. And I think as he grew and as he became more mature, we would have had such a deep connection even in the future. And although now it saddens me that we could never have that opportunity, I just take that bond that we did have for those 11 years so deeply. And even though for 2 of those years we weren't that close, for 9 of them we were best friends. We wore the same clothes. I would share clothes with him. I'm a girl, he's a guy, but he was a very skinny guy. I was a very skinny girl. We fit the same skinny jeans. He loved the skinny jeans for women. He just liked them for some reason. I don't know why, considering the pockets, but he did. And even at his funeral, I ended up wearing his jeans because his girlfriend really nicely gave them to me, a new pair of Levi's he had just bought right before he passed. And so I was able to use those and wear those at his funeral and keep up the tradition that we had had as best friends throughout our whole lives. So although grief can consume you, I just want you to take into consideration that forgiveness is very important, and just coming to terms with this is life and this is what happens and this is what you have to deal with, and continuing. But I hope you enjoy the rest of his music and the rest of the coloring. Alright, so there's our finished coloring there. I hope you enjoyed the video and everything we got to talk about. I hope it brought you some inner peace and some calmness, and maybe some things to think about in the future. There we can take a look at this back part. That. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment. And yeah, I'll have another video posted on Sunday. I hope you enjoy.